What's going on, guys? As you can see, we've got the split screen and we are doing Wheel of Fragrance today. I am the Scent Bubble, and our special guest for today is Mykah Fragrance. Now, a little bit of information about him. He's got roughly around 3,500 subs. He's been doing this for a little over, what, a year now?
Yeah, coming up on a year and a half.
Coming up on a year and a half. I see recently he's cracked 1 million views and he has over 1,500 video uploads currently. So he does a lot of content, very consistent, lives, shorts, long form content, reviews, concept videos, season videos, top videos, everything in between. And it was just a matter of time before I learned about the channel. And I was telling him earlier, I'd been following for about 2 months, just kind of downloading everything that he's about. And I like to work with channels I haven't heard of that are very consistent in the space. And his growth in the space makes all the sense in the world. He posts a lot. He wears a lot of fragrance and talks a lot about fragrance. So it's cool to have him on. You guys know what the drill is. This is Wheel of Fragrance. I have several different wheel concepts, and the one Mykah has selected was Job Edition. So with Job Edition, I have, I think, over 50 occupations on here, and I try not to make them too simple. I try to give a spectrum of funny jobs, serious jobs, common jobs, uncommon jobs, just to have such an range of you don't know what's going to get selected. And that way you have to kind of use different levels of your brain to figure out what fragrances might pair well. So for instance, if he falls on valet parker, he has to find a fragrance that he thinks a valet parker would have or that he would have. Not all these jobs are going to pertain to him. So in some areas, he'll have to use some creativity to say if he was in that position or knew somebody there, what he would select. And we're going to try and go back and forth for about 3 to 5 rounds. You guys know the drill. I'm going to pull it up in the middle here. We've got the wheel so you can see the selections as well as Fragrantica when Mykah picks his fragrances for each round. All right, now with that being said, let's do some general housekeeping for those people out there from my channel who haven't heard of Mykah Fragrance. So I saw on your bio, it said you'd been collecting fragrances for about 3-ish years. Just want to ask you a couple quick questions. So first off, what got you into fragrance more seriously?
So I would say my fragrance or origin story, I suppose you could say, kind of started in an interesting way. So I was in 8th grade, started dating my girlfriend, who me and her are still together now. And I thought to myself, I want to smell good. I kind of wanted to impress her. So I texted my dad. I'm like, hey, do you have any cologne I could have? And he gave me Stronger With You EDT. Now, this is one he bought. He enjoyed it when he was testing it out, but I don't know if he bought the wrong one or something, but he said that he absolutely hated this one when he got home. So that's really how I got into fragrances.
Surprising. That's a pretty good fragrance. So, he might, was he just not into sweet fragrances or what?
Yeah, he likes more just like light, fresh, clean fragrances when he would wear fragrances, but now like his nose is so sensitive that he doesn't even wear anything anymore.
Interesting. Interesting. Awesome. So, hey, the girls got you into fragrance.
Absolutely.
And how old are you?
I'm 16.
Awesome. Nice. I want to have more younger guys on the channel, man, because you guys have different perspective, different use cases. And plus, when you guys, like, I feel like younger guys have more creativity and spend more time with a fragrance because they have more excuses to wear it, I feel.
Right.
So that's really cool. Now what do you collect? So there's designer, clone, niche, inspiration, independent niche. I'm sure you have an assortment of it, but do you lean a certain way as far as right now in your journey? How could you kind of summarize what you've established as far with your collection?
So I would say primarily my collection is a lot of designers and a lot of Middle Eastern fragrances, more or less. I have some niche fragrances, like I have two Manceras right here. I have Nashani Ani. I have some indie niches, like I have three City Rhythms. But really, apart from that, I don't have that much niche, not that much independent niche, just a lot of designers and Middle Eastern fragrances.
And do you think that's kind of out of preference or out of resources in your area?
I would definitely say resources in my area. Like I have a couple fragrance stores, but none of them really sell any niche fragrances. So it's hard for me to justify, blind buying a $200 niche fragrance when I could just blind buy a $20 Middle Eastern fragrance or go to my local stores, smell a designer fragrance and buy it.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. Now as far as your channel, what's do you feel like, and again, sometimes it's more open-ended and you kind of get focused more later in life, but like if someone were to ask you like, Mykah, what's your goal with your channel right now? I know I saw some of your bio. It said you like to educate people on kind of affordable and budget fragrances that smell really great. Is there anything
Mhm.
outside of that as far as your channel direction, what you are doing, at least as of now? Has anything changed?
I mean, really, more or less, like my goal has always been the same, just giving people recommendations from cheap fragrances to more expensive fragrances. To me, the cheaper fragrances really were a big thing because, not everyone can afford $100 fragrances, let alone $200, $300 fragrances. But more people can afford, a $20 cologne I show. So, really, just that focus on cheaper fragrances that the masses can afford. But overall, just teaching people how to smell good and just enjoying making content while I do so.
Nice. Awesome. I always tell people like that want to call me a reviewer and all this stuff. I do review fragrances, but I'm basically just documenting my journey by throwing a camera on and telling you stuff I'm already interested in or looking at. And as I pick up information and I download it, I kind of just hit the share button, and that's what my channel is. Just kind of like a big field study of what I'm into.
Right.
I sometimes try to formalize it and package it in a way that feels more review based or whatever, but essentially I'm just putting a camera on to my normal life with fragrance and hoping it helps other people make decisions and be educated. So I share a lot of similarities there. Okay, awesome. So now that you guys know who we're dealing with and the man behind the game show here, we are going to get started with round one. As you guys know, we spin the wheel. We find the occupation. Mike is going to get 30 seconds to grab a fragrance. We're going to walk through it and we're going to go back and forth for 3 to 5 rounds. I'm going to see if we can cue up some music for you while he's running around, though. Thankfully, since he has his fragrances right in front of him, he won't be doing too much running. So, with that being said, let's get started and play the Wheel of Fragrance. You ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's spin that wheel. Nice. Okay, first choice is a lawyer. With that being said, I've got 30 seconds on the clock. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hmm. I kind of want to take my time with this because I see a lot of people just immediately rush into something. Hmm.
Take your time, buddy. You got 20 seconds left.
I got it.
Okay. What you got for us?
This is City Rhythm Manhattan. I picked this one because this is like a soft, powdery tea fragrance. I feel like if you're in the courtroom and you're wearing something, um, you know, I feel like you would want something that would be kind of mass appealing because you are going to be around people. You want something that'll kind of make you feel a little bit powerful, but you don't want to go like over that edge because as a lawyer, you're not like a judge where you're, that guy in the courtroom. This is like you know, a step down of what I feel like the actual judge would wear. Something that is still classy, mature, but isn't going too far over the edge.
Awesome. Yeah, and I have the note breakdown here. Top: violet leaf, cinnamon, bergamot; mid: tea, myrrh, pimento leaf, olibanum, labdanum; base note: tobacco leaf, vanilla, cedar, and vetiver. That is a lot of notes. So you say it's primarily you get a lot of the tea note in that fragrance?
Yeah, it's just like soft, powdery, citrusy tea. So good.
Nice. Awesome. And what price point is that at?
This for the 30 ml, $90, and for the 3.4 ounce, I believe it's like 190 or something around that price.
Okay. Awesome. And you've now, outside of a lawyer, where do you wear it?
To school, pretty much anywhere, because this is a fragrance that I feel like is good for virtually anyone. Like this is good for someone my age, someone around 16 years old. This is good for someone around your age. It's really good for anyone, but it's just a fragrance that you could wear, that people will smell, that people will think is nice. It's not in your face and would be great for a lawyer.
Awesome. Yeah, cool looking bottle too. I think a lot of people kind of more middle of the road or beginner, tea is a note people love. And so anytime you can get a tea fragrance, definitely I think that, strikes a chord with a lot of people because I don't think many people know about like a lot of different tea fragrances, especially ones that are really nice. Some tea
Mm.
fragrances are very shy with the tea note, or sometimes tea is just hard to pull off. Like depending on what kind of tea you're using, it winds up being a real background supportive element and it's not real forward. So I like when you can get tea that's at least girthy enough to feel like it makes up a good amount of the fragrance.
For
So
sure.
awesome. So that was City Rhythms Manhattan unisex fragrance, and that was for the lawyer. All right. So you're already off to a good start, man. I'm gonna hide that selection so you don't get hit twice with it. Round two, wheel is being spun. Oh, nice. Okay. Personal trainer. Personal
Okay.
trainer, gym guy. So with that being said, 30 seconds on the clock. Let's go.
Hmm. All right. I got it.
Okay, at 20 seconds. Nice. What you got for us?
Game of Spades, Full House.
Oh, right. Hey, man, that fragrance is getting a lot of talk in the last couple of months, man. Why'd you pick that for the gym guy?
Well, first of all, if you are wearing a fragrance to work out, you should wear something light. You don't want something heavy that's going to be messing with people. More diving into Full House. It's a citrusy, powdery fragrance. This one has tea in it as well. It's a clone of Louis Vuitton's Imagination, but it's just this airy, powdery, citrusy, sweet tea fragrance, something very easy to wear. And if you're sweating, it's not going to be too strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for a lot of I have the fragrance as well, and for a long time I've kind of people in fragcom know that there are kind of like three citrus DNAs that everybody feels that they must have. Typically Imagination or anything from LV, Pacific Chill, Immensité, Meteor, whatever. Then you have Tygar. That's another name that comes up a lot. And then
Mm-hmm.
Elysium as kind of these either exotic citruses or beachy style citruses with tea, ginger, neroli, all that stuff. Just these fresh citrus basket assortments. And I've always kind of had theories on which one of those three styles I prefer because they all have a little bit of nuance to them. And I
Right.
think, and some people though would argue like, why are these citrus fragrances so popular? I'm not a fan of citrus. And I have a theory. I really think what it comes down to is a lot of times with those particular fragrances, you're not getting like, let me put it this way. Fresh fragrances always are some variation of citrus on woods, citrus aquatics, and stuff like that, citrus green. But with Tygar, Imagination, and Elysium specifically, they're not using typical citrus. A standout note in Imagination is things like citron. They're not just using bergamot, they're using Calabrian bergamot. They're not just using regular orange, they're using Sicilian orange. Not just
Mm-hmm.
using regular ginger, it's Nigerian ginger. So you're getting a similar composition, but it feels more exciting, more vibrant, more upscale because they're using the same kind of citruses, but they have an elevated character to them. And so it's a common DNA profile that everybody's familiar with, but it feels more expensive and more exciting. And with Imagination, it's the same thing. You get a lot of more nuanced character citrus. And then when you throw things like ginger and neroli, you get texture, you get vibrancy. It's got Chinese black tea in it. Again, not just normal black tea. And so I could see why people gravitate to these DNAs for sure. And Wild Card is definitely a great contender for probably top two best Imagination clones out there currently. It's a fun looking bottle. It's new. It's the talk of the town. And it's so versatile. It's an ageless fragrance where you feel like expensive and it's got a quality to it that stands out from most citrus-based fragrances. Um, so yeah, it wouldn't only, and I like that you said that in the gym you don't want to be loud and obnoxious or beast mode. I'm shocked sometimes how many people say things like, "Man, can I wear a Dior Sauvage Elixir in the gym? Can I wear Initio Oud for Greatness in the gym?" It's like, guys, I don't know what you do in the gym, but I'm not trying to grab a megaphone and walk in the gym and be like, "Hey, look at me." And then it looks even crazier when you might be a smaller guy. You're not really a beast mode looking guy, but you're wearing a beast mode fragrance. You look like a mouse, but you're projecting all the way across the room into the gymnasium. So I'm glad that you said that. I do agree. And again, wear fragrance however you want, but I do think in certain environments, you should take the environment into consideration. You can be yourself, but not be an idiot. You could be yourself, but not be obnoxious and disruptive. And I think there's a time and a place to be loud. And surprisingly, the imagination DNA is louder than most citrus fragrances, but it's the DNA is a softer projection. It's rounded off. So it's interesting and creative, but it doesn't go like 4 to 6 feet of projection lingering around everywhere you go. You just have a really nice bubble where when they get in it, they smell you, but they can get out immediately if they're disrupted by it. So, you can get away with that with this fragrance, I think. Do you have anything else to add on that?
I mean, just an amazing fragrance. Touching on what you said, ageless, anyone could wear, Full House or The Real Imagination, anything with that DNA. And you can wear it whenever. There's never a bad time to pull out that DNA.
Yeah, and I forget, how much is Full House?
Full House, I believe it's anywhere from like $60 to $80, but
Okay.
I could be mistaken.
100 ml?
It's either 100 ml or it's a 4 ounce. I want to say it's 100 ml.
Okay. Awesome. All right, man. That's round 2 for y'all. Let's move on to round 3. Let's hide that choice and spin that wheel. Oh, you're going to love this if it lands on it. Cab driver.
Hey, cab driver.
So I'm going to give you an extra 10 seconds if you need it. Let me go ahead and cue up the timer here, because that's an interesting one, and I'm sure the audience can't wait to see what you pick. That being said, you have 40 seconds starting now.
That's a good one. Wow.
We're at 25 seconds, 15 to go.
All right, here we go.
Okay, you got to it. All right, you even got to it under 30. So, what you got for us?
Prada Luna Rossa EDT.
Oh. Okay. EDT, so gray and red. Okay, perfect. All right, tell us why the cab driver would be rocking that.
So, when you're a cab driver, you're in a car, you're in a confined space. You're not going to be wanting to wear something very strong. It's almost the same analogy as like wearing something to the gym. The original Luna Rossa is just a good, like fresh, citrusy, lavender, woodsy scent. It's not going to be too overpowering. It's going to be pretty mass appealing as well. I also think you can wear it year round, so it's not like there's going to be it's not like it's going to be too heavy in any of the seasons, but just a good, clean, dumb reach fragrance that people will like to smell.
And it says it has top notes of lavender and bitter orange, heart. We have mint, clary sage base. We have musk and ambroxan. What part of those notes stick out the most to you in that fragrance?
I would say definitely the orange and the musk, because the musk gives it this clean, powdery vibe. And I would say the lavender too. It's really the citruses, the musk, and the lavender.
Awesome. Yeah, and the Prada line is really nice. And I think the overarching connection between all those fragrances is they all feel versatile. Like you might
Mm,
have some that are date night, some that are fresh, versatile, some that are a little bit more serious, some that are dark, for instance with Prada Black. But nonetheless, they all feel very light, like they float on the skin. And
mhm.
so I think they're always, no matter what category they fall into, you can dress it up or dress it slightly down within that category and make it work because there's kind of all of them have this connected freshness to them and lightness to them. But even though they're light, they still do project quite well. You might have to ramp up the sprays or not, just depending on if you're a close knit spot or you're out in the open. I'm a fan of a lot of the Prada fragrances. Another thing I always think about is like when you're in a cab, right? I don't know how the cabs are today because all the cabs now are Uber. So you could get into 100 different Ubers depending on
Right.
who's driving. But like when I used to get into yellow cabs, they were all leather seats. So that was another factor that played into it is even if the guy wasn't wearing a fragrance, you'd smell kind of this crisp air and old leather. So I think a fresh fragrance in this case would definitely cut through some of that like dark leather feel as well.
Mhm.
But these days you're in a Uber, so you probably have some dude with an air freshener in the car anyway. You definitely want to be light, but nice pick there. You have anything else to add about this fragrance? How much is it? It's probably what, like 80 to 100 bucks?
Yeah, it's around 80 to 100 bucks. One thing I will add though, just bringing up the price, this was my best deal on cologne. My Albertsons was they're not selling fragrances there anymore. So I picked up this 100 ml for $23.50.
Wow.
So
At a
that was
at a grocery store.
hmm
That is insane. What a find.
And then
That's
I want to add this
incredible.
real quick. I picked up Eros Flame for like 50 bucks from Albertsons.
Wow. What area of Albertsons would you be at? Like that it was in?
They were towards like they were always towards like the entrances of the stores. Like you'd walk in and then like they're they're by like the like doors and like the checkouts. I
Was it
don't know.
like
It's
a
kind of a
promotional
weird
item
spot.
or something?
I don't know if it is a promotional item. I just know that the ones by me always sold fragrances, and then they like announced that they're not gonna buy any more once all their stock sold out. No one was buying them, so they went down 25%, then 50%, and then 75%, and then just sold out very quickly.
Jeez, you're getting the TJ Maxx deal on all those fragrances. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Dang. Okay. Well, with that being said, that was Prada Luna Rossa for Men EDT. Classic fragrance. I can attest to that. We're going to move to round 4 because we got time for it. And I know y'all want to see Mykah get hit with some random jobs some more. So, with that being said, let's cue that music and spin that wheel. Doing good so far, man.
Thank you.
This is good. Okay, so in the vein of gym teacher or personal trainer, now we have bodybuilder. So now you are the loud beast in the room. Will that change your fragrance choice? I've got the clock pulled up for 30 seconds, and with that, start now.
Bodybuilder. Let's see. Oh, I got mine.
Wow, quick. Okay, what you got for us? Oh, Aqua Di
Aqua Di
Gio. Which
Gio
one?
Profondo.
Profondo. Profondo is a bro type of fragrance. I could see that for sure.
Absolutely.
Uh, Aqua Di Gio. Why is it not showing it up on here? Oh, okay, here we go. And why did you pick that?
So I know you kind of told me to like not put like talk about myself if I were to be a bodybuilder. This is one I would wear if I were to be a bodybuilder. But my brother does powerlifting and he would always steal this from me. So that's where I made that
Okay,
connection. And then the more and more I was thinking about it, I was like, this would be a really good gym fragrance as well.
it
So
would.
I just picked it. And you had also said, like you kind of are that guy in the gym if you're the powerlifter, bodybuilder. So
Mm-hmm.
this is still a fresh and clean fragrance, but it with like the mineral notes, it definitely does have like some added like umph to it. It's not just a powdery, fresh, clean fragrance. Like this will stand out in the realm of fresh fragrances.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I hate to bring this guy up, but you know, he's the king for a reason, and some of the stuff he says is just spot on, especially this. Jeremy Fragrance said that Aqua Di Gio is the most versatile designer fragrance of all time. And that's the truth.
Mm,
It is one of the more, not beast modey, but it's one of the stronger fresh fragrance projectors because of the mineral, the aquatic, the marine aquatic, and the vetiver, and sometimes amber, depending on which one you have. But it's just a fragrance that can go the distance, and it is a complete signature freshie. Nothing
mm,
else smells like Aqua di Gio. And I love how over the years they've danced in the realm of it. I remember when I was in high school, which is crazy. I was in high school before you were born. And I wore Aqua di Gio Eau de Toilette, the powdery glass.
mm,
And it's evolved over the years. We got the EDT, the EDP, the Parfum, Profondo, Profumo. I think we have an elixir as well now, right?
mm.
So
Yeah.
it's they've when you have a successful DNA, you really shouldn't try to remix it too crazy. You should just accent it and give it slightly different vibes. Givenchy does this a lot. They're known for kind of date night seductive fragrances, classy, manly seductive fragrances, and they play around in that DNA. A lot of people get mad they make a lot of fragrances that are similar, but it's like, dude, the DNA is already prized.
Mm,
So they're only trying to dip into different pockets of a winning formula, and Aqua di Gio has done the same thing. Some are more fresher, some are greener, some have incense, some are more romantic, some are more dense, some are very light and float on the skin. But when you have a DNA like Gio Armani, no one else smell like there's not other fragrances that really even get close. Maybe other than like maybe Oud Wood from Tom Ford gets you the mineralic, but it doesn't get you the marine style that it provides. So because it's a timeless, unique fragrance, again, you won't really see anything new from Armani unless they're moving completely off of it, like Stronger With You, and just going a completely different branded direction. But Profondo, to me, in today's market, is it's a young man's fragrance, not because the DNA is young man. It's just a lot of people like 25 and down. It's their first fragrance they really gravitate to in the Aqua di Gio line because it's so fresh and so modern and easy to wear. And so I
mm.
think news is kind of spread like wildfire at your local Sephora and Ulta Beauty and things like that. It's just a very talked about, well-known fragrance, and it has timeless classicness to it. Profondo's kind of the young man's game, uh, kind of baton pass from old. And it really sucks that Profumo's discontinued and so hard to find, because I think I think Profondo's a great starting place, and elevating that as you move on to college and to a career, Profumo just makes total sense because it just has another step up in masculinity. Profondo you might wear at the gym, and as an upscale casual fragrance, Profumo is going to be your date night suit and tie versatile fragrance. But Profondo really is a great staple. Now, what's great about Aqua di Gio as well is there's some phenomenal clones. One
Mm.
of the greatest clones ever made, which to me is the only one in history that gets a one-to-one accuracy, is Lattafa Sacrat, which is to me the only valid Profumo clone out there, which is my favorite fragrance. But there's also great Profondos. You have the Très Nuit variation. You have a lot of inspiration, kind of Alexandria Dua styles to it. And there's just, I think Armaf might have no, Armaf's Très Nuit, but there's a lot of Aqua di Gio renditions that do fit the bill. But I think at the designer level, you can always kind of sneak this fragrance off the shelf for around 40, $50 on a holiday or on a sale, and get the 100 ml. So you might as well just go with the original a lot of times, unless you're really penny pinching. But bodybuilder for sure. I mean, it goes with anything. So a bodybuilder for sure it would go with. Do you have any other final thoughts on this fragrance? I guess the only thing I wanted to say was the notes real quick. Aquazone, C notes, bergamot, mandarin orange, rosemary, lavender, cypress, some synthetic I don't feel like pronouncing, mineral notes, musk, patchouli, and amber. Just such a winning formula. Green, fresh, aquatic, mineral, amber. What else you got to say about it?
Profondo to me is like an aquatic lover's dream. There's two aquatic notes in there, and like, yeah, you get that original DNA, but this fragrance really focuses on the aquatics and the mineral notes that this to me Smells like you're like sitting on a riverbed. So if you like aquatics, Profondo is probably going to be for you.
Yeah, it's really nice, super versatile, and I think when you look at the fact that most of the world doesn't wear fragrance, and for those that do, many of them have less than 5 bottles. So
Mhm.
when I look at it from that standpoint, this is the perfect fragrance for that type of collector, in that it is a fragrance that will go any season, any reason. You will feel classy, you will feel expensive. It'll change with whatever mood you have, and it's just timeless. And that's the kind of fragrance you want if you don't have a lot of fragrances. If you have a lot of fragrances, that's cool too, because none of them are really touching Aqua Di Gio in terms of its style. It's very one of one as well. So it's both signature and amazing as an entry level. It's just a great overall fragrance, and you guys should definitely pick it up. Okay, so was that was our fourth, right?
Yeah, that was 4.
Okay, so let's take it home, Mykah. We got our 5th round, final wheel spin. Let's take it home. Oh, wow. Okay. I love what you're getting hit with today. Okay, so we've got Mailman. Mailman. So let's dig in your bag. I'm gonna queue up the timer here. I've got you set for 30 seconds, and let's go.
Got it.
All right, that's 21. Okay, what you got for us?
Prada Luna Rosa Carbon.
Oh, let's pull that up here. Excellent. Okay, tell us why you chose it.
So I think when you're a mailman, you're going to be outside a lot. You're going to want something. Obviously, since I'm only picking one fragrance, I'm going to need something for when it's going to be hot in the summer and when it's going to be, cold in the winter. So you need a good signature scent. You need something that if you do have to, knock on someone's door, ask them to sign something, it's not going to be too strong while they open the door. Carbon is just like an easier wear version of Dior Sauvage. Hits on Sauvage in all the right places, and in my opinion improves on Sauvage where it could have been improved. So I just think this is a great option for a mailman.
Excellent. Bergamot pepper up top, lavender metallic, watery notes, coal, and soil. That's hilarious. You rarely see that in a fragrance listed on the pyramid. And then in the bottom, ambroxan and patchouli. Nice. Now, I forgot to ask for a couple of these, but we just went down different rabbit holes. But I want to kind of spin back to an original question I had asked you. So that would be what you would pick for a mailman. Where do you wear this fragrance?
So this is one, again, you can really just wear it whenever, wherever. It's like a fresher, easier wear version of Sauvage. Sauvage is often looked at as like a very versatile fragrance that you can wear whenever. So this is a little bit more versatile. So I wear this to school, hanging out with my girlfriend, anything really.
Nice. We've got a lot of versatile selections on this episode, and I like that because more people can connect and they have access to these fragrances. Excellent, man. Well, hey, you made it through the gauntlet, man. How do you feel?
I was expecting it to be a lot worse. I was feeling very confident leading up, and then when you're like, "All right, we're starting," my heart just started pounding. But I made it through, and I survived. So I'm happy with that.
Would you play it again?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Now, the way I've developed my wheels, and I have 4 completely different themed wheels, is as you go up in difficulty, they get more abstract. So you wouldn't really be able to connect them to a person, place, or thing. They start moving up in terms of like ideas and concepts that you have to kind of invent a fragrance for. So as we continue to bring you back, we'll keep moving up the wheel and see how you, have different parts of your brain being worked on with these episodes. I will tell the audience here, and I really appreciate you for being on the show. I will list all 5 of the fragrances Mykah had suggested, and if there's any valid alternatives to them, I'll also list those in order in the description, as well as Mykah Fragrances channel. Anyone that follows me, you guys know I don't bring people on my channel for clout or any specific intentions. I like people who are active and talk about fragrance. I don't care what your age is. I don't care anything about your background. Do you wear fragrances? Do you talk about fragrances? And do you provide value? And Mykah's channel definitely does that. So make sure you guys, if you follow me, you love me at all, you know we get busy over here. Give Mykah a follow. Get him up to that 4K. You know, he's off in the races already, so I have no doubts that his channel is going to continue to grow, but make it that much easier for him by giving him a follow. He will earn it, I assure you. With that being said, Mykah, let's leave on this note. Why should people follow Mykah Fragrances?
I mean, I think well, one thing that I do, which is what me and you were touching on before we even started this video, was, you know, I always try and be honest. Well, I don't always try to be honest. I always am honest. I give my truthful opinion. I also try and showcase a lot of cheap fragrances because more people can afford that. But I think more overall, I'm consistent. So if you want to, you know, consistently see me in your feed every single day, whether it's a short or whether it's a live or a long form, I'll pretty much be there every single day. So give me a follow if you all want.
Hey, it's free, guys. Give them a shot. You won't regret it. And I will say this. I knew that you were active in fragrance when I saw many of your lives, and people would ask you a question, and your brain, I could see your brain working in terms of figuring out what you would recommend. And you would always grab the fragrance before you even began talking about it, or turn around to your collection before you even started talking. And when you have that kind of impulse towards fragrance collections and you make connections really fast, it really shows that you wear all your fragrances, you have memories with your fragrances, and it's not just about the information and stuff. It's about you have an actual connection to the things that you're talking about, and it basically means that your body's moving faster than your brain. And so that means you're into what you're talking about. You're not just in it for content's sake. So that's when I was like, yeah, he collects fragrance. He knows what he's doing, and he's on a good journey. You know, it's about the journey. So with that being said, again, guys, I am the Scent Bubble. You know, I'm your host for the afternoon. This is Mykah Fragrance. Look in the description after you watch this video. How do you guys think he did? Is there any alternatives that you would suggest for those jobs or to the fragrances that he chose? Or were there any different selections that you had in mind as well? We want to hear it. Throw your feedback in the chat below. Give the video a thumbs up so we can keep moving up the ladder. And until next time, Scent Bubble, Mykah Fragrances, y'all have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Peace, everyone.